All right, folks, we're here with a special guest. Adam, you want to bring him in?
Sure. The U.S. Open is taking place this week in Indianapolis, Indiana, and our next guest is on the cut line, right on the cut line. So joining us now to take a look at day two from the U.S. Open is Jason Sterner from Rochester, New York. So, Jason, thank you so much for joining us tonight. So, just talk about you know your day on B Squad.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. Unfortunately, I don't have the best news. Today was as good as yesterday was. Today was equally as bad. I felt like I got into trouble early. I kind of got myself playing a little aggressive. Obviously, I had a good start, so it is the U.S. Open, and there are times when you are probably supposed to play safe, and there are times when you're probably be a little aggressive. And I think today, I stepped on the gas a little bit too hard and kind of got myself in a funk. And fortunately, the spare game was really good. If not, it probably would have been about 200 under. But it is the U.S. Open, so there's three different patterns, and different people are going to hit them on different days. And unfortunately, today I just felt like I couldn't match up. Whether it was me missing a ball or the surface prep, surface prep that I did wasn't great. But unfortunately, I just kind of slow death rolling into the top 8 games there. But there's 8 games tomorrow, and like you said, I'm hovering around the cut line, so I try not to dwell on today as much, and because you got to be sharp for tomorrow. So with all that said, that's really the mindset going in. It's just reset and get out there and do what you got to do.
Yeah, so Jason, yesterday you bowled pretty well yesterday. So what was the difference today? Is it because they have a different pattern? Because we had on our show last night, we had Kyle Troop on, and he was saying there was 4 different patterns. You guys have this, and you have to bowl in this pattern. He didn't even bowl the 4th pattern on practice on Monday because all the different types of oils are on top of the same same lane. So it's like, that's really stupid until the championship game, and on TV. So what did you have to do to adjust for that? Because your high game today was 203. Your low score was like my score I do every week. I bowl 158. So what was the difference from today? Was it the ball hooking? Did you even pick the right ball? What did you do?
I'd say yesterday, I definitely felt like I had both misses. Even at the U.S. Open, that's pretty rare. But I felt like I was in really good demand of my speed control and my rotation control. And yesterday was 40 feet. Today was 47 feet.
Okay.
But the drop brush stopped at 39, and it was buffed to 47. So it wasn't like it was old to 47 feet, but it was 47 feet. And to me, I just really felt like I couldn't get my ball going to the right unless I had some speed on it. And if I did, it would kind of get hung up down lane. And then, you couldn't just shallow the angle as much as I was trying to keep it from breaking loose. And then I would shift through my balls, and I feel like then I would lose the mid lane, and then then I lost my speed control, and then it's kind of like quicksand at that point. You're just fighting, and then no matter how hard you fight, it kind of just gets worse.
Right.
So to me, the angles needed to be a little more open today, but for whatever reason, whether it was I don't like to make excuses, but maybe I didn't have the right ball or I didn't have the right surface on my ball. I really fought being able to give the pocket away, whereas I feel like most of the people that I saw doing well were doing that. Now, typically those guys have a little bit different ball roll than mine. I have a little higher tilt than most people on tour, so I have to factor that in, into the equation when I'm, bowling on whatever pattern it is. And for as good as it was yesterday, today I felt like, without good speed and good touch, it was just as bad. So
right.
I think those were looking back on it, right? If I don't try to go for score, I know that sounds ridiculous, but if I would have only focused on just hitting the pocket 9 times a game, I think the outcome would have been at least better than 140 under. But when you're out to a good start like that, you're and you see people striking, you can't help but try to strike. Like, you don't want to just sit there, but if I could go back and take 10 under, I'd be ecstatic based on what I just put out there.
Yeah. Well, yesterday you said you had a good start yesterday, so that, like you said, you could basically have to like today as like today was a challenging day. Maybe tomorrow will be a better day because you had a good start, and now you basically have you have to gain more pins and get back to where you were at the top of end of round one. But now you have do you feel like you have some breathing room a little bit, or you realize you're like, oh God, I have to bowl really well tomorrow, or else I'm going home tomorrow night and get ready for the next stop on this tour next week.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely felt like, I definitely gave myself a pretty good cushion after day one. So, obviously, getting done with today, looking at the scores, it's kind of like a kick in the teeth, but you're like, okay, I've been here before. It's not like I'm completely out of the cut and 100 pins back. I'm going to be in or around the number with plenty of games to do whatever I need to do. So I'm not kind of dwell too much on it.
Right.
So, I really put on a pretty good clinic yesterday. So, I have to just accept the good with the bad and move forward. If not, I'm going to be constantly battling with the past, and you got to live in the present, and adjust as it goes. Because tomorrow is another pattern with another different, it's 35 feet, different oil combination, I fortunately will be on the last squad, so I'll be able to watch both squads and kind of see what strategies they choose, and then I will know the number going into the last the last round. So it kind of gives me all the boxes checked so that I can just commit to whatever I'm going to do,
right,
and then adjust accordingly as those 8 games take forward.
Well, is that good to bowl in the last squad? But like you said, you could sit around tomorrow, watch everybody bowl, and you could take notes and go, let's use an example. Let's use Kyle. Kyle used that bowling ball. Maybe I could use that one. And then, or EJ, he's striking with the plastic, whatever. Maybe I could use that one. Maybe you got to go. You're writing down in your notes saying, all right, let me go to my arsenal and see what I have is allowed to bowl. And see what do I have is closer to what those two guys have.
Yeah, sure. I mean, today we were a first squad, so it's kind of like you're the guinea pig.
Right.
If I could go, like you said, if I could go watch what they did this morning and then have a chance to make some adjustments, I'd probably, I'd hate to think that I'd do worse. At least it would give me a better blueprint of what I needed to expect, so I wouldn't be really searching for, something that I couldn't really put together until it was, until it blended out and let me do what I like to do. But again, I think I was just a little aggressive today, and I just didn't have as good as touch as I did the day before, and it happens. It's U.S. Open, they're not supposed to be easy, and it will expose any weakness at any time if you're not ready. So,
well, Adam, you have a question for him?
Yeah. So since you live in Rochester, New York, and it's a hotbed for bowling, what's it like to have the PBA Tour return to Rochester after a long layoff?
Yeah, so I'm actually new to Rochester. I moved there probably in 2018.
Okay.
But I've heard the history of them when they used to come to, I think it was Olympic or I can't remember what center it was.
Yeah,
it was Marcel. It was Olympic Bowl.
Bringing it back to what is now my my home city is going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
The fanfare there is going to be wild. I mean, and like you said, it's a big bowling community. First, there is on the ground. You're always inside bowling, and I think the level of respect up there is a lot different than most of the places I've been. That area has seen a lot of good bowlers come up through the time and day. So,
right.
They give you respect where respect is due, and they're always kind of rooting for you. It's pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to it. I know the city of Rochester is looking forward to it. Because I've been hearing about it for months now leading up to this. They're like, oh, what do you guys, you come in? They're like, yeah, they're like, oh, I got to make sure I'm there. So, it's going to be exciting, man. They're all pumped, so they're ready.
I went up to Rochester one time for a arena football back in the day,
Oh, wow.
and I drove all night to go up there to do this game, and we were up there in Rochester, and I was like, all right, let me go see if I can find the bowling alley. Well, I looked it up, and it's like the Olympia Bowl where they used to have the Kodak Invitational, and
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that closed.
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
think it's a parking lot or something.
yeah, something like that. I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, and I'm thinking like because I was up in Rochester like you, we were all bowling nerds pretty much, and I'm like, oh, I'm in
Yeah.
Rochester. Let me go find the bowling alley and see if I can spend a couple hours here and look at this thing and say like, yeah, but it wasn't there anymore. Like I went down to Grand Prairie one time to they used to have the Quaker State Open, and my friend Matt and I were down there for the Cotton Bowl, and I said to him this next morning after the Cotton Bowl, I'm like, dude, let's go take a drive over to Grand Prairie. He was like, "What is it?" I was like, "It's the Forum." So we drove through this industrial park, Jason, and we found this bowling alley. It says the Forum. So we walked in there, and I looked at the guy at the bowling counter. I go, "Yes, do you have lane 39 and 40 available, sir?" And he looks at me and goes, what do you want to do lane 39 and 40? I said, well, we're bowling nerds, and this is actually like this is like Yankee Stadium. Some guy named Bob Denoit bowled a perfect game on that on TV.
Right.
And he
That's
looks
a
at me and
wild
goes,
show.
yeah, he looks at me and goes, Jason, he looks at me and goes, well, you can't bowl in that lane today because it's league, but we could give you another lane. I'm like, okay. And then I asked him when I was a kid growing up, they used to have chandeliers in that bowling center. I said, what happened?
Yes.
I said, what happened to the chandeliers? The guy goes, they stole it. I was like,
What?
they stole the chandeliers. I'm like,
Oh my god.
yeah. So, but it was cool to bowl in a bowling center like that. It was on TV. So, like, don't get me wrong, it was cool that I struck with like a house ball, you know. And I'm like, cool. I bowled on the Forum, and I still have pictures of my Facebook. I'm like, this is pretty cool, you know.
Uh,
But well, and like you know, we like to go back to some of these places, and I'm like, well, forget that. That lane's closed.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot of them have, but yeah, like you said, like the ones you get to go back and see some history.
Right. Exactly.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hey
So what?
Jason, obviously the PBA tour is returning to a spot that you and I know quite well. Bayside Bowl, for the double championship. So, obviously you competed up there in the PBA league. So, what will it be like for you to return to a hostile environment like Bayside Bowl?
Like I wish we had a couple more events like that. But the fans cheering in the background while you're up there, and the music blaring, like to me, like it's not. You don't have to worry about if someone yells or coughs in your backswing. Like it's always on. So like to me, it's like my serenity when I'm up there. Like I love being in that environment, and the fans are crazy, and they love bowling, and it's probably one of the funnest places I've ever bowled in.
Nice.
With that atmosphere.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I never get a chance to go up there. Maybe down the road I'll try to get up there because I heard all the stories that Adam told me about up there. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll see what's going on. I've never been to Maine before, so we'll make a trip one day up there to see what's going on.
Yes, Chris. Yes, Chris.
And if you're a seafood person, they got plenty of that. Like it's just iconic. What Charlie has done to that place to make it what it was for like the team bowling and stuff. So I'm glad that we actually are going back there this year.
That's cool. Well, Jason, thank you so much for taking the time this evening. Go rest and enjoy your day tomorrow. And then this time tomorrow night you'll be bowling, so you could probably get onto that match play stuff.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jason.
All right, see you, buddy. Bye.